So Joker's Joestar quote tweeted a tweet about Scoot Henderson. The original tweet is by Peak RT. It says, "People talk about Risacher being a bust, but Scoot fits the description much more accurately," which I low key agree. But Scoot has been hurt, so I'm not gonna call him a bust yet. And I think we need to stop calling players busts after 3-4 seasons. But yeah, and then the GOAT, Joestar Jokic, go watch Save the League podcast. Quote tweeted said, "It's an interesting philosophical question. Third overall pick with star upside versus first overall pick with a near unanimous role player ceiling. If both players become nothing, who's the bigger bust?" And I think in this situation, it's the third overall pick, aka Scoot Henderson. The way Scoot Henderson was talked about pre-draft, you thought it was the second coming of Chris Paul, like um like Chris Paul, small point guard, but athletic, a shorter Russell Westbrook. People were calling him everything, and they weren't taking Brandon Miller as seriously. I don't know why. Um, I knew Scoot Henderson was not going to be better than Brandon Miller. I just didn't project him to be this bad, but he did go through G League Ignite, which proved to be a failed system. It failed so many young prospects, from Jalen Green to Isaiah Todd to Jonathan Kuminga. Really, the only good prospects that have come out are Kuminga, Buzelis, and Ron Holland. Other than that, the program's a bust. And I say they failed Kuminga because he just wasn't NBA ready. And the point of G League Ignite is to get you NBA ready. But Kuminga's a star now. I called this when he was drafted. I said he's going to be a star. And he's a star right now in Atlanta. Salty my Warriors traded him. But yeah, I think it's just Scoot in this situation because he was compared. A lot of people were saying, yo, if Wemby wasn't in the draft, he would be the first overall pick, even over Brandon Miller. People were saying Charlotte should have taken him, which I did not like. Sorry, a cutoff. I meant I did not like. But yeah, Scoot was just this point guard who played G League competition and looked half decent. I don't know why he was the second pick. But yeah, Brandon Miller was always better than him. And I'm glad the Hornets did not select him at the second pick because they already had LaMelo. And if they picked Scoot, it would stunt LaMelo's development because then they would have to give Scoot Henderson the ball. With Brandon Miller, he is very ball dominant sometimes, but he can also work off ball. Scoot just can't do that. And Brandon Miller was just a better player, better shooter, better defender. He the only thing he wasn't better at him was playmaking and athleticism. That's it. So yeah, I think it's Scoot because when Risacher was taken first, we all knew he'd be a role player. We all knew it was for fit, even though I think they could have taken Klingon and the Hawks would have been way better off. But yeah, I think Risacher, he's just having a bad sophomore year. I don't think we call him a bust. He's just having a sophomore slump, but he was never gonna be a star. He was always a role player, like always a role player, and I just kind of viewed him as this role player, and I'm never gonna call him a bust because he's a role player unless he's just like garbage and he can't play his role. But I doubt that's gonna happen. But like still, I don't get why people are so low on Risacher. It's his second year. I know he's bad, but he was just the number one overall pick because the Atlanta Hawks needed a forward because they were gonna. I think they got rid of DeAndre Hunter that summer. They traded him to the Cavs. I think. So like yeah, I don't know why people are quick to call Risacher a bust when Scoot in 2 years' time, if he's still playing like this, still playing inefficient, I think he's a bust. Because he had that star upside. People were saying he was the next De'Aaron Fox, Mr. Russell Westbrook. And he's quite clearly not. So, to answer Joestar Jokic's question, the third overall pick was star upside versus first overall pick with near unanimous role player ceiling. If both players become nothing, who is the bigger bust? It's Scoot Henderson. Because he had all the upside and hype in the world, but lived up to none of it.